when Helen Mirren stormed out in costume to stop a drum line. Some moments define who you really are. For me, that moment came when I was wearing a crown. I never thought I'd become a viral sensation at 70 years old, dressed as the Queen of England, screaming at teenagers in the middle of London. But life has a twisted sense of humor, doesn't it? It was October 2013, and I was performing the audience at the Gielgud Theatre in the West End. This wasn't just any play, it was the role of my career, portraying Queen Elizabeth II through 6 decades of her reign. Every night, I transformed into Her Majesty, carrying the weight of a crown that felt heavier than gold. That particular evening started like any other. The theater was packed, the energy electric. I could feel the audience holding their breath as I delivered the Queen's most intimate moments, her private conversations with prime ministers, her doubts, her humanity behind the monarchy. Then it happened. Boom. 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 The sound hit the theater walls like artillery fire. At first, I thought it was construction work. London never sleeps, after all. But this wasn't construction. This was rhythmic. Deliberate. Loud. The drumming grew more intense, drowning out every word we spoke on stage. I watched my fellow actors' faces twist in confusion and panic. We were professionals, trained to push through anything, but this was impossible. The audience began shifting in their seats, straining to hear our lines over the thunderous percussion outside. From the wings, I could see our stage manager frantically gesturing, his headset practically smoking from panicked communications with the front of house. The show was falling apart in real time, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. Nothing anyone could do. That's when something inside me snapped. I wasn't just Helen Mirren anymore, I was Queen Elizabeth II, and nobody was going to disrespect my realm. The crown on my head wasn't just a prop, it was armor. The royal blue dress wasn't just a costume, it was a battle uniform. Without a word to anyone, I marched off stage. "Helen, where are you going?" my scene partner hissed, but I was already gone. I strode through the backstage corridors, my heels clicking against the floor like a war drum of my own. The costume department scattered as I passed, a woman possessed, a queen on a mission. I could hear the panic in the theater behind me, but I had tunnel vision now. The stage door flew open, and I burst onto Shaftesbury Avenue like a royal hurricane. The scene before me was chaos. A massive street parade had taken over the road, dozens of young drummers in colorful uniforms, their instruments gleaming under the streetlights. Cars were honking, people were cheering, and the noise was absolutely deafening. For a moment, I stood there, this tiny woman in an elaborate blue gown and jeweled crown, facing down what looked like a small army. The drummers didn't even see me at first, I was just another curious theatergoer stepping outside. But then our eyes met. The first drummer faltered, his sticks hovering mid-beat. Then another. And another. A ripple of awareness spread through the parade as they realized who, or rather, what, was standing before them. I raised my voice, projecting every ounce of royal authority I'd spent months perfecting. "Excuse me. Shut the bloody drums up." The words cut through the night air like a sword through silk. Every drum fell silent. Every voice stopped. The entire street, hundreds of people, froze as if time itself had paused. I could see the shock in their faces, the confusion, the dawning recognition. Here was the Queen of England, in full regalia, standing in the middle of a London street, hands on her hips like a headmistress scolding unruly children. "We're trying to perform a show in there," I continued, my voice carrying the perfect blend of politeness and steel that only true royalty can master. "And you're making it rather difficult for us to do our jobs." The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me, smartphones being raised, the weight of the moment crystallizing into something that would live forever on the internet. Then, like magic, the parade began to pack up. The drummers sheepishly gathered their instruments, muttering apologies. The parade organizers rushed over, bowing and scraping and promising to move the celebration elsewhere. Within minutes, Shaftesbury Avenue was quiet again. I stood there for a moment longer, watching them disperse, feeling the adrenaline course through my veins. I had done it. The Queen had defended her kingdom. Then I turned on my heel and marched back into the theater. The backstage area erupted in applause as I walked through. The entire cast and crew had witnessed my battle from the wings, and they looked at me with something approaching awe. I had saved the show, saved the evening, saved our professional dignity. But more than that, I had discovered something about myself that night. As I took my place back on stage, adjusting my crown and smoothing my dress, I realized that the line between Helen Mirren and Queen Elizabeth II had blurred completely. The authority I had wielded wasn't just acting, it was real. The crown wasn't just a prop, it was a symbol of the power we all carry within us when we refuse to be diminished. The show continued flawlessly. The audience, having witnessed the drama unfold, was more engaged than ever. We received a standing ovation that night that lasted longer than any I'd ever experienced. Later, in interviews, I would laugh about it, even queens have limits. But the truth was deeper than that. That night taught me that sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone, literally, to protect what matters most. The crown wasn't just on my head that evening. It was in my backbone, in my voice, in my refusal to let anyone diminish the art we were creating. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to accept the unacceptable. That's the first ingredient of a great life, the courage to act when everyone else is paralyzed. The second ingredient I learned that night, the wisdom to know when the role you're playing becomes who you really are. And the third, the strength to wear your crown, whether it's real or imagined, with the dignity it deserves. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more incredible stories to come.